That actually worked, thank you. I try to stand. They gave us a small stage here. I think it's so I can fall off and get hurt. I want to welcome you all to our information meeting. I know one person asking what the agenda is for today, and the agenda is we're going to give information. You'll be hearing from me. Then we'll follow with our treasurer, Ron Hoffman, and closing with Sean Lutman, our general manager, for those who don't know that. So, I actually wrote a little speech, which I usually don't do. Excuse me. As you know, it's been a really tough summer for all of us, management, board, and members of the club. Yesterday, for your information, we finally finished the arbitration. That was 5 grueling days of testimony. My personal feeling went well, but I'm not making any prediction from the stage or how judges rule. Unfortunately, the way he allowed the timetable, we probably won't be hearing anything until the first of the year. It's the process. 2017 budget process was flawed. I know you're tired of hearing that. I know we've said it a lot. But when Sean came aboard, he reinforced how badly Kemper put us in the hole. It's the truth. I do know that starting on Monday, the Budget Committee, along with Sean, will be working on this year's budget. It'll definitely, I'm telling you from what Ron and I are working on, we have worked very hard. We've gone member by member to make sure who's a paying member. And it will be a realistic budget based on the members we have here. One of the other reasons our budget was flawed, and I heard the oohs and ahs, not you in this room, but over 100 of our friends and neighbors just stopped paying their dues. And we had relied on that money. Multiply 100 times what we pay and see what that does to a budget. Makes it tough to keep things going. So this is what's creating our cash shortage. We are a mandatory membership club, and I know people have been saying that we should do things about that. And the board is getting louder, isn't it? Yeah, sure. The board is having a retreat in October where we're going to be doing an all-day meeting with Kurt, who's the man who helped us recruit Sean. He helps the clubs run a retreat based on what our memberships are. We're going to be comparing to other clubs, and we will be discussing this. But the mandatory membership issue is really for the South, an issue for the POA, just so you know, because I was addressed, someone else had asked me that, I wasn't aware of that. But we have been dealing with difficult times. The executive board and the board met over the summer. We had no time off. And the first thing the executive board and Sean agreed upon was a 30% across-the-board budget cut. This was not an easy decision, with the goal to have the least impact on services to the membership. We are hopeful, and Sean will go in more detail with this, that some of these budget cuts are temporary, but we need you, our members, to start using the club, eat at the pub, attend events, play golf, tennis, use the amenities. We need your participation so we don't have a revenue problem anymore. We need you to come and enjoy it. And as a side note, I probably asked the people to stand who came last night. We had a huge crowd at the pub. Wasn't it a great night? Chef's back there somewhere. We had no complaints, all compliments, an interesting menu. It's getting better. And the food problems, Sean and the chef have worked really hard on this. The menus are now exciting and different and will be changed. And you got to come and enjoy it. Give us a chance. No, let me talk now. You get to ask questions later, okay? Second, the board added additional revenue from new sources. Aberdeen, what a godsend Aberdeen's been. Do you know some days this summer we have more Aberdeen golfers than golfers from the fountains? Most days, I should say. Well, Aberdeen just extended till the end of December. So they'll still be here. And I'll give you an idea how Aberdeen comes in handy, where I say we have to come and spend money. Break the Fast is this Saturday night. I don't know the final counts, but the last count that Sean had given me, 40 of us had said we're coming to break the fast. So we talked about it, and Sean called Aberdeen and said, can we open it up to them? And I said, sure. We now have 100 people coming to break the fast. That's Aberdeen. We got to start enjoying this place. We also brought in Can-Am. And I know that was not the most popular decision, but I can tell you when the facts were presented to the board, and I can tell you many people on the board were totally against Can-Am being here, it was a no-brainer to vote yes, and it was a unanimous vote. We need the revenue. It's that simple. And Sean will give you more details on that. Third, we approved some new memberships. We've all been asking for it. We now have a new social equity membership. The dues for it, I don't have it in front of me, roughly 25% less than the tennis equity membership. But what it does, it's for those members who don't play tennis, don't play golf, and have been asking for something to allow them to still participate in the club and not pay the same dues. So we do now have a social equity membership. It allows for 2 times a month golf, 2 times a month tennis after 11:30. We now brought back the executive membership. The reason for that is we picked up many premium members from this membership. And new to the fountains, we now are going to be offering to the non-mandatory members for courts non-equity memberships, social memberships. They'll be paying the same dues, they'll be paying initiation fee. The only thing they won't get is the assessments. Fourth, we went to Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is our partner, and I don't remember how many meetings I've had with them this summer, but Ron and I, let's just say we're all on a first name basis. Well, the first thing Wells Fargo did to help us out with our cash problem is they waived our principal payments and our renovation loan for the next 6 months. That's approximately $70,000 a month for our cash flow. The other thing we're working on, and it's not yet done, thanks to lawyers. Sorry, lawyers. We are working on an emergency extension to our credit line to give us the cash we need to get to the end of the year. It will get done. We also put in a proposed over 90 social equity membership. The board approved that it's been incorporated into the social equity membership, therefore no vote was required. Many of our members reached out to the board and expressed thoughts that we needed to allow them to play golf and tennis, so we added 2 times a month golf and tennis, and that family members can play. So that was the addition we did, since it's based on the town hall meetings. We do listen. But we need your help, and I'm going to keep reiterating this. We're asking any member who can, this is not a requirement, but it'll be appreciated. Look at your bill, and there's that part that says assessment, the $320 a month. Well, if you could prepay that, that would help the club. As I said, we have a cash flow problem till the end of the year. So anybody who can prepay that, we'd appreciate it. When your bill comes in, instead of waiting 20, 25 days to pay your bill, pay it in 4 or 5 days if you can. If you can. Any cash we get in faster will help the club. We are all owners. It's helping us. So I'm asking you nicely to pay your bills as quickly as you can, and also come to the club and spend money. By the way, it's not the old theory. Sean has worked on this. We don't lose money on every meal anymore. We want you to eat here. So you can see the board has been working on your behalf. We all love our club, our way of life, and we do not agree with those out there who want to destroy what we have here. Just this past Monday, for your information, I met with GL Homes. Yes, they're still here. Meeting lasted a little over an hour with Sean, myself, and Paul Naporowski was there. Paul McGinn. Paul Knapp had missed his flight, had problems. But I can tell you, at the end of the meeting, Larry Portnoy, who's the Vice President of Sales we've been dealing with, said, GL Homes is still committed to building here at the Fountains. But we need to do some work. We signed a contract. Yes, there is a contract. And it's been reviewed by all the appropriate sources, and we have an obligation under that contract. We have a very complicated water system. And once again, I'll reiterate something Paul McGinn said when he announced the deal. It's in the minutes of the board meeting. Yes, it's a $17 million deal, but only look at $16 million because we have about $1 million worth of expenses to get this to the finish line. So we have a vote out there for a $600,000 loan, which the bank has approved. but I can't get the money until you approve it. Just so you know, I need your approval. We have a contract in hand with a soil management company to dig our lake. I'm becoming a lake and water expert, by the way. It's gonna be a 13-foot lake. It's gonna have nice surroundings. And we have the contract to remove the soil and do what we have to do. It's under the $600,000. We had 3 bids. I think, Ron, should talk a little about that. But we need you to vote yes on this loan. Remember, 92% of us said the GL deal was a great deal. 92% of us. Still a great deal. And I'll tell you something else, because I hear about this. What if GL pulls out? Well, they're not planning on pulling out unless there's a problem. It's kind of like when you sell your house. You're required to do certain things in your house before you can close. Got a crack in the foundation, you have to pay for the crack in the foundation. Well, we have a messed up water system. And part of our contract said we had to fix the water system before GL will come in and start digging and do the phase 2 study. I will tell you, if you vote no on this, we might lose GL, which could be worse. Now, that just means we have to get started and go for another developer, but we're gonna have to move the water for them too, by the way. That's how the fountains works. We have a water system that's fractured. So that's all on that. The board and I have been working to make changes to continue our way of life. Are there and will there be changes? Yes, but hopefully for the better. We have a great leader in Sean, and many of you have seen that. He has a strong team, and I know you've seen improvements in every department, from golf, tennis, fitness, membership, accounting, and I've skipped a department, I believe they've all improved, maintenance. We also need your help in defending our club and our way of life. To those who have filled our email box with numerous emails with the intent of creating divisiveness and mistrust among us, we did a little study. There are 254 names in that email run. Over 40 of those people, 25% roughly, are either suspended or not members of the club. And 75% of the respondents on the email trail are either suspended or not members of the club. Let's be united. Please pay your bills on time. Vote yes on the $600,000 loan. And join us in continuing to make the fountains a great place to live. Thank you. So now I'm going to let Ron Hoffman go through a little details on our finances.
Afternoon, everybody. When my father-in-law was in his 90s, he had to take another driving test. We called up to find out what was going on and with the results of the driving test, and he said, I have bad news and good news. Toby said, what's the bad news? He said, didn't pass. So what's the good news? No more bad news. I'm not sure I can go completely that far, but I can say that the bad news is almost all behind us, and we're kind of moving forward to make things a lot better, and I think a lot of it has to do with Sean, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that we have in this room, and the people who are participating, the nucleus of what the fountains is. Yes, we had some issues. We have some operating result issues, we have some collection issues, and we have some legal cost issues, and we have some cash flow issues. They're being addressed. We're going after them, and we're trying to see what we can do to get these things going. Our operating results for the 8 months ended August 2017, frankly, is BS before Sean. I didn't think that was going to work. I really didn't. Our loss so far for the 8 months is about $1.4 million. Major elements is continuing losses through the 8 months in our food and beverage operation, our high food costs, our variable labor, the hourly labor, the servers being 96% of our revenues. These are the same things I've been saying at the board meetings just about every single month. We continue to do the right thing in terms of the bad debt expense, and we have about almost $500,000 of bad debt expense. Most of this is basically reversing the revenues of those people who are not paying and putting it into bad debt expense, and that's how we're taking care of it to make sure we're accounting for it. We do have a lot of legal fees, almost $400,000 so far this year, trying to chase some of these people who are causing some issues, as well as the arbitration matter and a couple of other issues. Any legal fees associated with the GL transaction is capitalized and therefore part of the overall cost that we're putting into the GL, the $1 million in the GL project. As a positive, as mentioned, Aberdeen's incremental revenue so far this year, and that's for the 8 months, was about $200,000. They've now extended through the end of the year, and that'll help us a little bit more. Action plan to reduce the loss. Sean came up with a very comprehensive and gut-wrenching, probably, action plan to reduce the loss. Lots of payroll reductions in terms of headcount reductions, reduce food and beverage operations to reflect the lower demand. In other words, if people are not coming to the pub, we're not going to open it. And that's the conclusion that Sean has. He has the counts, he knows how many people are being served on a daily basis. He knows whether it makes sense to be opening or not opening. If 14 people come to eat at the pub, it doesn't make any sense to be in the pub, open up the pub. Greens and Grounds has gone through some fairly extensive changes, but we wanted to make sure that this did not have a continuing adverse effect on the golf course, and Mike has come up with a pretty good program to make sure that we can still cut costs, cut back a little bit of some of the things that are doing in terms of prettiness, but not have adverse effects on the golf course. The Can-Am agreement that Sean was able to generate is really going to be a big help in terms of revenue generating for the rest of the year. That we got a $100,000 prepayment on what they're going to be doing on their initial greens fees during the first couple of months, and estimates of anywhere between $400,000 to $600,000 for the rest of the year and into next year. So that'll be a big help in terms of the cash flow and also from an operating point of view. Having said that, unfortunately, there will be an operating assessment for this year that we'll have to pay next year. The estimates that we have now and where we are right now, I can not guarantee you, but I feel fairly comfortable in saying we will not have to have an increase in what the payments will be that you're making now. We're going to make it over the full year, and hopefully it's not going to be much more than the $300. It will not be more than the $320 that we're paying a month now. But I have to be upfront and tell you we're going to have to deal with that. And as I say, there's no more bad news. The good news really is that Sean's on top of the situation. I've had little conversations, and we know where he's going on the budget, and we should be in very much better shape for next year. So we can kind of put these operating assessments maybe behind us as we go forward. Cash flow issues. As Jeff mentioned, we got a good partner in Wells Fargo Bank. They will be willing for 2017 when we file our final financial statements for the end of this year. They know that we're not going to be in compliance with all the covenants. They have given us assurances that they're going to waive those covenants, and therefore they're not going to be an issue on that. They're giving us a 6-month deferral of the mortgage principal payments. And over that 6-month period, that's about a $500,000 deferral, if you will, of cash that we will pay at the end of the mortgage, not as soon as the 6 months are over. They're working to help us on a new interim credit facility and to allow for that'll take a lot of pressure off the interim cash flow flexibility that we will be needing going into next year. And of course, any of these additional borrowings will, in the capacity, will be repaid when we close on the GL transaction. Cash flow problems. The projected cash flow deficit through the end of the year is about $1.2 million. That's a shortfall of cash that we will have written checks for $1.2 million more than we will have gotten estimated receipts. There's a bigger page, so I can't see the writing. That $1.2 million would include $800,000, repaying the $800,000 that we've temporarily borrowed, if you will, from the Capital Reserve Fund. And that's how one of the reasons we've been able to take care of our obligations in the interim. Solutions. The Wells Fargo assistance will provide us the deferred mortgage payments are $250,000. The new interim line of credit will be $900,000, And the Aberdeen extension, which is not having to do with Wells Fargo, is probably another $70,000. And I've not factored in anything over and above the $100,000 on Can-Am activities. As Jeff mentioned, we do need some membership voluntary support. If you can make upfront dues payment when we do the dues billing starting in November, that'll help a lot. If you can help to prepay the operating and capital assessments to the extent that's possible, that helps a lot. We also have the new initiation fees and the new memberships that Jeff talked about. That'll help a little bit, and it'll give us some additional revenue streams coming in. Looking at our membership and the basis of our budgets for next year, right now, and this is based on the people that are paid, this is based on the people that are sitting in this room. We have 483 equity members, we have another 150 premium annual members, and we have some other memberships, and so we have a total of about 659 people. We have about 184 people or memberships that are proper memberships. These are the people that we're going after aggressively on legal collection activities. We've gotten some already. We've done a little bit with a collection law firm. They've already, of the 5 that we sent over to them, we got 2 that are looking to make a settlement, and we're getting that money back relatively quickly. I'm not going to say it's all going to happen that way, but it's a good start. Just looking at some of the other clubs compared to us. I went through and I did a study and I compared, and the membership team went through and got statistics and due structures and everything from all of the clubs in the area. And I took those that I felt were relatively representative. I didn't take the very, very high-end clubs, I didn't take the very, very low-end clubs. The average of 12 clubs that I decided that were representative and comparable to us, the average dues was $14,740. This is for a full golf membership. The average buy-in, the equity and initiation, was $62,000. The average that they had was 2 golf courses and 13 tennis courts. How's that compared to the Fountains? Our dues are $10,575. Our buy-in is $10,000. We have 2 golf courses and 12 tennis courts. So if you look at it, the money that we're spending on the operating assessment, I call it deferred dues. Because essentially that money should have been reflected in the due structure in the first place, comes to about $4,000 per full-time equivalent, and that gets you so that our dues are fairly comparable to the average of the clubs that are similar to we are. Looking at some of the comparable statistics of us versus the Southeast Florida country clubs. Again, this comes from RSM, our accountants, and they do a fairly comprehensive study on all of this stuff. Food and beverage revenues, and this is one of the things that Jeff was referring to. The average of all of the clubs in Southeast Florida averaged $2.3 million in food and beverage revenues. We're averaging $2 million. So what's happening is it shows that we're not participating. The full membership dues, $14,000 versus $10,000. The food and beverage subsidy that the clubs pay to pay for the loss in food and beverage, they're around $2,000, we're about $2,200. Golf maintenance costs per hole. The average of all of the clubs in Southeast Florida is almost $100,000. We will spend this year $80,000 per hole. So you can see we're a little bit behind the 8 ball, but we're in terms of what we're spending and what we should be spending, and yet at the same time, our due structure is about where it should be. Briefly addressing the lake excavation project. There was a fairly comprehensive bidding process. 2 bids were received based on the original scope of the work. And based on that, Mike was able to determine what the cost per cubic yard would be. We got one, it came to $9 per cubic yard, and we got another one for $6.25 a cubic yard. Now subsequently, the scope of the project got changed. It got expanded a lot so that we have this much bigger lake. And as a result, we got the revised bid from the cheapest one because it was the less expensive, I shouldn't say cheapest, the less expensive one. and because it was so dramatically different. And as a result, the final bid that he came up with was $5.04 a cubic yard. So we're going to be way ahead, much cheaper, and the total cost right now, and there will be some pluses and minuses, and there'll be some changes. But right now, the bid that we have for the lake project will be $555,000. As I say, we've had a lot of bad news, and I really hope that we don't have any more bad news to report, and that's the good news. Thanks.
Thank you, Ron. Okay, now we're going to hear from our general manager, Sean Love.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see everybody. I wish we see all these people in the pub on a regular basis. Last night we had 134 people for dinner. Tuesday night, I believe we had 42. Tonight we have around 43 on the books, which is nice, but we need to see more people. You all are talking about, you email me, want me to open up more. I want to open up more. We want to be open more. But until we see you come more on a regular basis, I can't open up. I want to open up more days. Now, I'm going to tell you this too. Starting in October, we will have, I believe it's 3 or 4 Fridays that we are open. There will be 2 Sundays that will be open. And it'll continue through November and December. And once we go to January, we will be open up more. The goal is to go back to where we were. I don't know if we'll ever be back to 6 nights a week, but at least 5 nights a week and 6 days. So currently we are running Tuesday through Sunday lunch, and then dinner's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 5 to 8. And also don't forget, on Wednesdays our RV night. But back to when I first came on board here, in the middle of July, I was here for 2 weeks. First weekend here, I saw that we were open up in the lounge. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Why are we competing against the pub? Your revenues aren't there. Your payroll is ridiculously high. And I stopped it right off the get-go. That helped. I'm also looking at where I believe it's costing us right around $2,000 a day to run the pub. Our revenues aren't even $2,000 a day. We're losing every day we're open in there. Now, obviously last night was a great night. We did over $4,000 in revenues. Our costs were lower. Our food costs, Chef Butch has done a great job. We've lowered our food costs. When I first got here, I believe food costs was around 58%. We're now running right around 40%. Catering. We stopped catering before I got here, because obviously when I was told we were losing money in catering. You as a member, you were subsidizing all the parties. Not anymore. We've got Dolores here and Butch, and now all the parties are priced appropriately. We just had a bat mitzvah here a couple weeks ago on a Saturday during the day. They loved it. They had a great time. They put it on Facebook, how great it was on the bar and bat mitzvah page, because the previous person that had their event here didn't enjoy their party and bashed the fountains. Once you're bashed on Facebook like that, it's hard to get it back, but the vendors that were here, the couple, the family that was here, they put a great rave review about us, and now we're starting to see more bookings. Dolores is getting a lot more phone calls, so I'm starting to see more bookings. I believe we just signed up somebody for January today for an event. So things are looking positive. Your budget going forward, it's more of a realistic budget. We're not going to throw up revenues way high and say your expenses are extremely low. Your expenses are going to be where they are. We're actually pricing out the salaries are going to be in line where they need to be. I'll tell you for a really quick one here. This past August was the first time that we were ever under budget on hourly payroll for food and beverage by almost $4,000. Thank you. The biggest reason, we cut back. You were overstaffing before. Everybody talks how great, I'm not going to mention any names, but how great certain people were. Well, they were part of the problem. They gave raises that they shouldn't have been given raises. Your budget was based off a $12 an hour salary for hourly people. We're averaging almost $16. So your budget's not there. It doesn't make sense. But going forward, it will make sense. We're making changes. We've already talked about Can-Am. You heard the board wasn't really in favor. I really wasn't in favor of it, but guess what? It's a great business decision for us to make. We need the revenues. We need to be nice to them. Yeah, I heard there's some issues before last year or the last time we had it. I get it. But we need to be friendly. We need to welcome them. There's a potential that at least maybe one of them may become a member. and they're gonna be in the pub, or wherever we're gonna be dining. We need them.
What is
Can-Am's a golf group, Canadian Americans. It's a group that they have a membership, and they come here and they pay a reduced rate. I'll talk about that too. They're gonna be paid during the summer months around $32 all the way up to $70, depending on the demand. It's revenue. Whether you like it or not, we need this revenue. Because you as a member, you and your friends are not playing golf like you used to. You've been here 20, 30 plus years, you're getting a little bit older. You're not playing here 3-4 days a week. You might be playing 1 day a week or 9 holes. We need people playing golf. You have plenty of room on your 2 golf courses. You already heard about the membership. We introduced new social memberships. We're now offering the non-mandatory courts memberships. We need to reach out to the North Courts. We need to welcome them. Yes, they're your friends, your neighbors. We need to welcome them. We need as many members as possible. We will go to the outside. Debbie's working with trying to get with Lennar. There's a bunch of new homes being opened up, Devasta. We're trying to get out there with the new home sales to try to bring them in. We need more members. I think that's the biggest thing that we can do is we're just trying to come up with new creative ideas, try to bring in more people. You're showing me that when we do the RV night, you're coming to those events. The other nights you're not. So Jason, Chef, and I will sit down and we're gonna come up with special events every week. We'll start doing wine tastings, beer tastings, alcohol tastings, scotch, maybe a little, could use one after this now. But there will be different things going on here at the club. We're gonna try to utilize the outdoor dining venue. We're looking at the possibility of moving everything over here to the lounge. We're thinking about looking at shutting down the pub. This has the best view. We have to keep 2 kitchens open right now. I'm trying to shut one down to cut our costs. So we're gonna try to move over here to the lounge. And once I get the final numbers to do that, we'll pull the trigger. We'll let everybody know through emails. I'm trying to communicate with all the members more often with my emails that go out. Yeah, I know it goes on the blog. I'm fine with that. I stand by what I say. I'm not lying about what I put out there in the emails. So put it on the blog. I'm okay. But we're going to be going into the lounge. So hopefully there I can start introducing more different ideas for dining. Also, don't forget when you come in, you're actually coming into a nice walkway. It's bright. You can see your friends as you come in. Because when you come into the pub, you're walking down a dingy, dark breezeway. You walk into the pub, you can't see anybody. It doesn't look right. So we're going to move over here to the lounge as soon as we get the opportunity to. And I feel, and I know, we'll get more members. It is less steps to come to the lounge than it is to go to the pub. We've talked about reducing our staffing levels. The one thing we might have done is we've reduced our staffing levels, but we're not reducing services. I've heard about the golfers not having a locker room attendant. You're right, we don't. And guess what? We're not the only country club in this area that doesn't have a locker room attendant. But your shoes are still getting cleaned. Okay? You're not able to talk to certain people, I understand that. I'm not happy about it either, but when I came in, I was here only a month. And I was tasked to reduce your budget by a lot of money over 3-4 months. And I had to cut where I can cut. I know there's other members that have been asking about opening up the Southgate Grill more. Well, I can tell you Southgate Grill is a big loser for us. But we need something down there, I agree. We will look at adding back some hours. But again, we have to see the usage go up. The more you use it, the more we could extend the hours of operations. We're also looking at the possibility of having out on the golf course, I did mention that the beverage cart is going to be temporarily suspended. Okay, we're looking at possibly bringing that back. One, we do have Can-Am. Yes, we have Aberdeen. Aberdeen members can't use the beverage cart currently when we had it out there because we don't take credit cards. So we're in the process of looking at adding credit cards out there to allow Aberdeen and Can-Am members, plus yourselves, to use it. There's an opportunity for more revenue. But again, if we do put it out there, you need to use it. The biggest thing I could ask for from the membership is use your club. We don't really have a big spending problem. Maybe before I got here, there was a spending problem. Not anymore. Everything must go through me. If any departments need to buy staples or pens or whatever they need, I have to approve it. I approve everything that goes through here. We have a revenue problem here, not an expense problem. We need your support. I'm asking you for your support. I do appreciate all the emails, phone calls, one-on-ones I've had with all the members. I do appreciate it, and I just need your support to keep this place going. And again, thank you for having me, and looking forward to a bright future.
So before I get the question, there's one issue I left out that I want to bring up. It's, we have a water committee, which have been meeting now for about a year. And you've been hearing about the lakes and the water and everything that's going on. And part of this is for the GL project. But the other part is we're reapplying for our permit for watering for the fountains. So we had an offer out there, and Mike Renzi was our expert here. I saw Mike in the room someplace. I don't know if he... There he is! And basically made an offer to all the courts, that if they would put a meter on their pumps, and the cost of the meter was around $2,500. Therefore, we could figure out how much water everybody's actually using daily. And then they would share in the cost of the water, electricity, lake maintenance, whatever cost we have. And that basically came to about $1,000 a year. So that offer is made to every court. I can tell you that all the southern courts except for Milan agreed to this, and Marseille. But Marseille had a different reason because they have their own permits. So they're on board, they just don't need this right now. But Milan's the only one that did. The other southern courts all agreed. None of the northern courts agreed. We're within a couple of weeks, Mike, of getting the final permit. So we didn't have a meeting today, so Mike's nodding yes. I will tell you, when we get the final permit, we'll give the northern courts 30 days notice, and we'll be cutting off the water, and they'll be responsible for their own water. Irrigation. So that got to bring it up before. That being said, be kind. There's two microphones, one over there and one over there. Microphones. And when you speak, because I have Roberta up here taking notes, you need to clearly speak your name and what court you're from. Even though you think I know you, the lights are very bright up here. I can't see anybody out there. So please give me your name, and I'll start on the left. Go ahead. Quiet, please. Where are our microphone people?
Percent of your operating assessments, which are over $6,000 a year.
My name is Diane Delmer, and I live in Valencia. Since you have such a cash flow problem, did you ever consider opening up to all the members for all the events? I have a lot of friends that are non-equity members, and they would love to go to some of the events. Don't you think you could make more money?
Those, you're talking about basically the 3 to 4 dinner dances we do. That's not anything you're talking about, correct?
Well, yeah, you said you'd like...
Those events are subsidized by the equity members.
You need to change that whole way of thinking and open up everything to both equity and non-equity members, is what I'm saying.
I hear you, we recorded that, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know.
Please, quiet, please. Quiet.
My name is Norman Kaufman. I live in Oak Pond, and I've been a member here for, it'll be 3 years next month. For several months, I have been vacillating over the question of the $600,000 vote, and I finally came to a decision. My wife and I voted in favor of the loan, and here is why.
Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure. We all want to see the club survive, and this will give it a period of time with this Band-Aid to improve the chances of its survival. To have a successful company, business, or team, you need to have good management. It flows down. A football team needs a excellent offensive line and a quarterback, not like our Giants, but to make it successful. Our board has hired two superb people. One, the general manager, the other, the food and beverage manager. And I think that for them, if there is a light at the end of the tunnel, I think these two gentlemen are capable of getting it turned on. I'd also like to recommend to the board, let the professionals do their job. While we were working, whether you were selling financial or me or whatever I did, we tried to do the best for our clients. They relied on us and they depended on us, and we did, obviously, the best. These are professionals, they know what they're doing, let them do the job. Don't let egos get involved, let them be the professionals and do the job. The board, and I was pleased to be here, because I think the board at this meeting, at this information meeting, was very transparent and has admitted what you have and what we're losing, and that's good. We should know the ups and downs of what is happening. We are involved. I'm a firm believer. If we work hard enough, we have 400 to 500 people. We've got enough people in here. If we would put our heads together to go to the general manager, okay, not to the board, but to the GM, and speak to him if we have an idea and let him run with it, okay? It is something we all want, and all we have to do is really put our efforts in. It's like I said to someone today, if it meant scoring a run and you had to slide on concrete, I know I would, okay? And I think what we should do is just put our efforts in, and we'll make this survive.
Thank you, Ron. First, I appreciate a lot of your comments, but we really need questions, okay? I will tell you the philosophy of this board and my philosophy, and Sean will agree with this, will nod his head. I let Sean run the club. We give guidance. I meet with Sean every week. He informs what's happening, but we agree with you. The professionals do run the club. That's going to be hard.
Hi, Harvey Rudowitz. I've been living in Oakmont for 8 years. I have a question that's always been puzzling to me. Ron, you said our dues are comparable to other clubs or even cheaper when you said they were like $10,000 plus.
No.
Okay. I don't understand why all of those other charges are not part of our dues. I got a bill, I wasn't here all summer, and I got a bill for almost $1,000. So if you equate that to 12 months, that's $12,000 on top of the $10,000 dues that you say we're paying. Why can't you just make it a dues structure rather than all of those charges?
So going into 2018, because I've noticed your dues, I don't like how it's set up at all with this clubhouse charge, everything charge, fitness charges. So going forward in 2018, the goal is to have a membership dues. You're not going to be charged that monthly clubhouse fee. It's going to be included into your dues.
Into the dues. So what will our dues be going into 2018?
We will know hopefully a little bit more next week after our budget.
Tell you in November. Let Ron answer.
I am a CPA. I do not understand what the bill is. And as a matter of fact, I can tell you that I walked into the accounting office to do my normal signing of checks things that I have to do, and was told by the receptionist, "You're past due, Mr. Hoffman, you did not pay the $340. And the reason why I didn't pay it is because the operating assessment and the monthly charges are both $340. And I said, oops, I paid the $340, everything was fine. Specifically to answer your question, I'm comparing, and I'm telling you $10,000 is what our due structure is. That's the due structure, the physical, when people pay dues. It's $10,000, that's what your due structure is. Yes, there are additional charges. All the other clubs had the same additional charges. The problem is, I don't have access to what those additional charges are. So I don't know what their operating assessments are, what their capital assessments are, what their clubhouse charges are, and things like that. So in order to keep it apples to apples, I was only able to base it on what the due structure is. But it kind of gives you a hint that says that their due structure is averaging $14,000, and our due structure is $10,000, and our operating assessment is another $4,000, whether they have operating assessments or not. We're about equal to what the due structure should be for the other clubs that are comparable to us, okay?
Bottom line is, we are simplifying.
Simple.
Wally Kinger is my name, and I've been here about 9 years, 5 years as a full-time resident. 5 years as a full-time resident. I live in the south in Valencia in a high-rise, and I've never been late in my life about paying any bill. And I see this request for $600,000, and you have a $400,000 legal cost. Who can get out of the deal? GL, not us. If you take out that loan, we're obligated, and GL can still pull out. Maybe their lawyers are better than ours and structure the deal that after you do the water, they can still get out.
But you don't understand, they don't want to get out.
You say that now, but legally,
All right, but I'm not here to get a debate. That's your opinion, you're entitled to it.
can they get out?
Any buyer, if we give them a reason, the reason they can get out, if we don't do the lake, they can get out. If we fulfill our contractual obligations, we've got money in escrow. They have to have a reason to get out. That's the reason.
And who determines that? You go back to court with the same lawyers? We owe $400,000.
Why are you thinking you want to get out of the deal then?
I don't think, but you can't guarantee after we take out this loan.
I can guarantee if we don't take out the loan, they'll get out, there won't be a deal.
So it's one-sided.
No, I'm saying, you're selling it, when you sell your house, and you get an inspection on your house, and they come back and say, oh, you gotta fix your roof, you gotta fix your foundation before we close. You then make a decision, am I gonna spend the $20,000 to fix my roof foundation, or not? And then if you don't fix it properly, excuse me, I'm talking now, if you don't fix it properly, the buyer then has the right to say, you didn't fix it properly, I'm pulling out of the deal. We are fulfilling our contractual obligations that we signed a contract with GL, and part of those contractual obligations, we knew.
Did the board know or did you know?
We knew, the board knew.
The board, not us.
Yes, you did. If you cited any
You
information.
didn't hold anything back from the membership.
No. No, I mean, can I hear a round of applause? Do you all know we have about $1 million to spend? We're not all on the board. We've always announced $1 million of expenses. Every meeting we talked about the GL deal. Never held it back. So, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it.
Thank you.
Anthony Rondoni, I live in Oakmont. I have one question that you mentioned that I have. Jeff, you said today about membership regarding social membership.
It's here and there.
I have a question about the membership.
There's no mic.
Go closer.
Right again.
Closer, can you hear me? Yes. I had a question about the membership you said today that you had just formed. Is that for the South? It was a social?
Yes, the social equity membership.
So who can take that membership?
Anybody.
So could I step down?
Yes.
Any member could step down?
Yes.
Really?
No? Oh, yes.
I said yes.
Can step down.
Yes. The new social equity membership, which we heard there was a demand of a lot of our members who don't play golf and don't play tennis, who are looking for a membership which is more affordable. So the membership committee, along with Sean, and Debbie really, they searched the other clubs, and we decided to come up with I'll call it a pure equity membership. It only allows golf twice a month after 11:30 or tennis twice a month, but allows you, so that's the restriction. You're basically a social member. The dues are somewhere around $6,000. for a couple. I don't have a sheet in front of me, that's why I might be wrong, I don't take any. 6,800? Yeah, they will not have a full vote like the other, I can remember, be half a vote. I explain. Yeah, but if you're interested in membership, there's a few other charges on it. Current equity members who are golf or tennis equity members can step down into it. The answer is yes. Please, quiet, he's not finished. Please, quiet.
A second question. I thought, well, we were supposed to get a lot of answers. I sent in a lot of questions today, and I thought it was going to be answered. But what I did want to know was, seeing that we haven't been able to see the contract, and because I'm in the development business, I'm really concerned about a phase 2 environmental study. And you said today, maybe I misunderstood you, but it said that you might have to do some work after the phase 2 environmental
I
study.
didn't say, GL will be responsible for phase 2 study.
GL is responsible. So anything that, in your contract, anything that they find with the phase 2 study, who is responsible for the cleanup?
I'm gonna, Paul, I see you sit back there, I think it's a negotiating thing at that point, isn't it? You wanna get involved, huh?
Take a pass.
That should be.
I'll have to get back on that.
But, I mean, that's very important, and that's what's been, I mentioned that to you the last time, because I've dealt with, toxic soils a couple of times in Rhode Island, and I know the laws are different. And if, it should have been, I mean, I don't know why we can't see the contract, number one. And because, I mean, at this point, we can't change the contract. Wait a minute, can I finish?
Yes.
We can't change the contract.
No.
There's nothing we can change. So whether we like it or not, we're gonna live with it. I support what you guys are doing. I'm not against it. I submitted plans to develop, so I'm not against the plan. But I'm against the way you're doing it. I mean, to not have it in your contract, that usually what you do is if you know, and it is a golf course, you know there's gonna be environmental issues. Because of the greens, you could have mercury, which you hope you don't, but you're gonna have arsenic, definitely. So you don't know what level of arsenic you're gonna have, whether that can be used under residential development, whether it's gonna be hauled away. And usually when you know that, in your contract, we should have that we would spend up to a limit, let's say $1 million to clean it. After that point, we can back up. So if it's gonna cost $10 million to clean it, obviously we wanna get out.
Anthony, I can get back in it, I can't remember what the contract says.
But that's something that's extremely important.
No, it's addressed, I'll get back in it.
Okay, what happened to the pool? I was on the pool committee. You say, the GL is ready to go forward. Well, a year ago, we had a meeting. Where's the plan for that?
The only reason the pool's on hold right now is because GL has made a final decision if we're gonna be an adult community or a family community, and that would change the look of the pool.
Oh, I hope it's an adult community. That would be great.
That would change the look of the pool though, so we just met this week on that was one of the topics.
And one other question regarding the apartment site. In your contract, is GL building a lake on the apartment site if they fill in those lakes?
No, they don't need a lake over there.
Pardon?
They won't need, I don't know.
Why won't they need a lake? Because we're building the lake on 9, so that's part of the contract too.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying, if, I don't understand, if I saw the contract after you guys negotiated, I wouldn't be here aggravating you, myself.
You can aggravate me.
No, but in other words, you should make the contract available to
We
them.
just can't, we're not.
Is it a stipulation
Yes,
from
it's a
GL?
Yes, it's a stipulation.
From GL?
And we can't. The appropriate people have seen the contract, your board has seen it, Sean has seen it, our lawyers have seen it. So we've given
Well,
it.
if you don't know about the environmental
I
issues.
do know, I don't remember. The contract was a year and a half ago.
Important, so you guys are missing something.
Yeah, as Harry just said, it's a 50-page contract. I said I'll look at it and.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on a second.
I don't remember phase 2, but I'm just talking about the soil. The soil does not need to be hauled off. Whatever soil GL doesn't want to purchase, if they choose to purchase, we could use it on our golf course.
So you had an environment, a phase two environmental analysis done to determine that soil. Did you or not?
No, not yet, we haven't done the phase two yet.
You can't determine that unless you do a phase two. You have to do about 50 tests throughout the 4 years.
I'm aware phase two is involved, that's why they're paying for it.
Thank you.
My name is Walter Strauss, and I'm a member of Marseille Court. I have two questions that relate to membership. One, I'd like to know why the board is taking as long as it is to remove two words from our membership situation. In perpetuity. You've been talking about doing this for the longest time. I've gone to every meeting. I brought it up regularly. It's not a very difficult task. The other thing I'd like to know is, when will the board consider changing rules and regulations to require at least 3 or 4 non-golf members to be board members? Those are my questions.
Well, as if you heard what I said earlier, I think the date is somewhere is it October's, when's our retreat? October 19th, the board is holding we're bringing an outside consultant, all-day retreat based on our memberships. That definitely be on the topic, the perpetuity. It's not as easy as you do say it is. It's something we want to do, but then when we look at the costs that are associated with it, it doesn't make it that easy a decision. We do want to do it, and we're trying to figure out how to do it. But we haven't forgotten.
My name is Stuart Levine from Parisian Way. I wore a name tag today, so people would know who I was. I have a dozen questions, but I may just save them for my next email. But let me just fire out a couple of them regarding the most recent operating assessment, which was $220 from an unforeseen shortfall of 2016. And I believe that was 500 members times $220 per member times 7 months, and it came out to about $800,000. Right?
It was for 6 months, and the answer is yes, and it wasn't unforeseen. The auditors went through our books, and it had a bad debt expense. It was members who stopped paying.
Well, whether it was unforeseen or not, we got hit with it in 2017. So,
Uncontrollable.
well, my point being, so we're gonna be rolling into 2018. You have a $1.4 million operating shortfall through the month of August. That's what Ron just said.
Right.
September was a disaster. Do we have business interruption insurance by any chance?
Yes.
You're gonna recover September should, our $1.4 million operating loss
Yeah, he's
could
working.
easily,
No, he's working on it.
all right, but it could
Claims
easily
that-
be $2 million by the end of the year.
No.
All right, well, then we can, listen, I'm not gonna,
No, we put the brakes on it. I know, the answer is no to that. And we're aware of the operating loss up to now. Ron gave you the number.
right, up to 1.4 million. I'm just suggesting that these are our slowest months and that operating loss should increase.
Well, we do have the Aberdeen revenue and now the Can-Am revenue.
All right, well, let's just say, for argument's sake, it's gonna be $1.6 million. How do you intend to keep your $329 a month operating assessment in check when you bumped it up last year for $800,000 in losses, and now we're gonna have $1.6 million in losses? Do you think your operating assessment's gonna double?
No,
Or are you gonna charge us in membership dues and club expenses that you haven't even talked about yet
We're
today?
working very hard and holding the line on dues this year. And basically, the difference in our operating losses, where in the past, we didn't book our bad debt reserve to the end of the year when the audit is done. That was historically always there. Ron has been booking the bad debt expense monthly. So we should not be hit by that kind of surprise.
All right.
Hold on a second, Ron wants to add to it.
Sure.
Stuart, if you think for 1 second that I may have just pulled that number out of the hat when I said that what our expected, that our operating assessment is going to be for next year, and the maximum is going to be.
Did I say pull out of the hat?
But the implication was there, number one,
That's
okay?
not- no.
But secondly, let me just make sure that all of the folks here understand, okay? Yes, there is an operating loss of $1.4 million through the 8 months. Yes, that's true, okay? Part of the plan of fixing things, and that's what we said from the front end, okay, is that Sean has come up with a very aggressive, substantial plan to cut back somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 of expenses for the rest of the year. There is a plan in place. Sean is beginning to execute that plan and getting it resolved. That's why we have Sean here. That's why I said the 8 months was BS before Sean.
Okay, so I have not raised my voice to you, Ron, so, you know, I'm being very diplomatic and courteous.
That's how Ron talks. Go ahead.
So, okay, fine. I used to work for a guy who was hard of hearing and he always yelled, but I said, don't be offended, he's just hard of hearing.
Okay, please.
My second question is, if you are doing, okay, third, if you are doing or intend to cut $500,000 in expenses,
We did cut.
but you did not cut according to your calculations. And I've done my own research on how much golf course maintenance in South Florida should run. And my research tells me it should run between $750,000 and $1 million for an 18-hole golf course, depending on acreage. You guys are using whatever numbers you want to use, and that's fine.
We
You
get our numbers from the lab.
went from 2016, you were paying $50,000 a hole to $80,000 a hole for 2 golf courses.
Correct.
You are now spending over $3 million in golf courses that you yourself said aren't being used by our membership, but we are paying for it, so Aberdeen can come in here, Can-Am can come in here, and all these other people can come in here for almost nothing. So why, I'm just saying, I think you guys need to look at golf course maintenance as an opportunity to reduce costs.
Mr. Levine, we have looked at golf course maintenance, and he has made a lot of cuts.
You got the same cut everybody else got.
He's made plenty of cuts back there. I understand what you're saying, over $3 million for the golf courses. You know, next year we're looking at lower. We are looking at lower. We're looking everywhere we possibly can to save the money. You know, when we look at RSM, who does a bulk of almost all the top clubs, even not so top clubs in the area, all of Southeast Florida or even Southwest Florida, we're under budget, according to what they're telling us and what other clubs are charging. You mentioned that, yes, I said the golf course isn't being used. Hang on. You know, the golf course is not being used. Why? Your membership, you and everybody else here, is not using the club as we should be. Why should the club sacrifice the golf course?
I agree with you 100%. If the members that are here, that are paying $20,000 a year or more to maintain this country club environment, and we're not using the golf courses, are we just maintaining them because we want a fairway view? Because I think that's pretty cost prohibitive.
We do have a lot of members who play golf, so there's no question.
Okay, but somebody said you could do it on one course. Last question. GL Homes, the GL Homes deal. I went and did some research, I talked to some private equity firms. The reason why I'm not in favor of the GL Homes deal is because they said to me that they would be interested in buying the country club as a whole, and they themselves would deal with the sum of its parts. The country club is not an asset. The country club is running at an operating deficit. The land is what is important. My suggestion is...
I'm asking
Okay,
a question.
the question is, why would you enter into a GL Homes deal when you could have done a more comprehensive deal and sold the entire club and maintained the club for at least the next 12 years? The way we're going, we're not going to last another year.
If that's your opinion and you're entitled to it, I can tell you that when I was on the committee that interviewed people, we didn't really have much interest in buying the club. We did speak to one party. The lawsuit basically turned them off at that time. I can say that I always had various discussions going with people, but the offers you get are not very practical.
All right, I just wanted to throw that out there.
I don't turn down anybody who wants to call and give me a number.
Okay, thank you.
I'm from the golf course,
Your name, please?
Muriel Hirsch. Now, I am in favor of going ahead with this.
What court? You said north, what court?
Cedra Court. You know, it's the exit that you have to use now. Anyway, as I said before, I'm in favor of going through because I am worried about what is going to happen if we don't go through. I've heard the word bankruptcy come in, And I don't know what the condition of the cost of the club would be if it fails. I know we cannot sell the property unless the lakes are finished to anybody. We have no idea that if we don't have GL, who has a wonderful reputation, a cheap builder could come in if we go into bankruptcy, because if the banks take over this place, they could do what they want. And if a builder comes in that's cheap, he could build cheap homes. So I feel that we have to go with this thing in order to have.
Thank you. I want to say one thing. I don't think you heard that bad word, bankruptcy from the stage here, so let's don't.
No, I didn't, but I hear it among the people saying,
That's the
oh,
rumors.
look.
That's the rumors. Okay?
I know, no.
We're being honest up
I am
here.
not talking about rumors. I'm saying, they say, well, why don't we go into bankruptcy? Look what happened to Aberdeen. They did so well. And I say, who knows who
Aberdeen did
could,
not go to bankruptcy.
well, in Indian Springs, excuse me.
They didn't go to bankruptcy either.
Well, I heard rumors that go around.
Sorry.
I personally feel.
We gotta move along. The answer is, I appreciate your comments, and you're right. We need the deal, and with the deal, it's gonna mean great things. We saw what the future's gonna be for this place. It's gonna help our real estate values. It's gonna help our way of life. We are gonna build a community pool. Some of us might not want it, but our new members want it, the members that Sean is trying to bring in here. And that's the future of the country club. So she's right, we do need it. This side next.
Hi, Susan K. Parisian. I have two questions. The first one is the front gate going to be finished on Saturday?
That's called the FCO, not the FCC. I get less information than you get.
Okay, my second question is, you have announced...
Hold on. She wanted to know if the gate will be finished this week. I get no information on that. So that's the FCO.
It's supposed to be...
We just own it, by the way. We own that gate, the gatehouse, you know that. Jack, somewhere in the audience, he said it will not be finished. Another month. That's what I'm hearing. Okay. Next question, quiet. Quiet, please.
And I haven't heard anything about, let's say like an outside type membership, anybody paying assessments. I mean, you're already bleeding us with all the assessments. Let me finish.
Right.
So, as you were talking about folding some of the costs into the dues, so it doesn't say assessment or capital expense, I think that you should be assessing some kind of money that you are not calling an assessment into our outside members who use the golf club who use the golf course all the time. I know, even though I'm a tennis member, I knew when I joined that I was an equity member, which meant the costs are divided by 100% of the equity members. But meanwhile, they're playing golf 3 and 4 days a week, and they're not paying anything.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and first of all, the memberships now have built into them a capital contribution, which we never had before. You have to remain competitive with outside members. This is a very competitive world. Outside members are here for the dollar, most of them. We're equity members. We're here because we love the place. Outside members, if we're $100 away from someone else, they go to the other place. So Sean needs a competitive outside membership. And these outside members give us nice revenue, and they're not owners. It's renters versus owners. We're the owners. We have to pay for the assessments, and I don't think there's a way we can assess them and keep them. We would lose them.
Well, it's, when someone owns a building and they pay rent for the apartment to the owner of the building, the owner isn't gonna rent from them unless they make isn't gonna rent from
Well,
them.
we can increase the rent we can increase their rent next year, which is what we do. We increase the dues. That's all I can do. Sorry. Thank you.
My name is Herb Shiner, and I live in Valencia, the first high-rise. Firstly, I'd like to thank all of you who have worked diligently in our behalf. I think you've done a very good job, as good as you possibly could. Whether that is 90% efficient, or 80%, or 100%, you've done all you could, and you worked very hard, so I compliment you. I just want to make certain statements and ask certain questions, and you can answer it as you please. I will vote for the $600,000 if you are convinced that's what it will cost. Do you know that it is definitely $600,000?
We have a contract for $550.
Okay.
You want to know if that's
Now,
a
at
real
one
cost? We have a
time,
contract.
when I was very much for mandatory membership, I pushed for it. It was for the 100% of the residents. Now it's only 50%. So I think that this was not done properly. We were not told that the North people could back out. And the South people are stuck if the North people back out. I don't think that was done right.
Well, we were not told either.
I'll finish. You want to answer that?
Yeah,
Okay.
you told me to do that. So that's why I was doing it. We were not told either, North people. Remember, we sued, we lost. So,
Well, apparently, the president at that time gave them the okay to back out if certain conditions were met.
now you're going way before
And
it.
that wasn't told to me, it wasn't told to anybody on the south end that I know of, and yet we're stuck. If we should want to move out, or God forbid we perish, the property is stuck with my children. I don't like that.
As I told you, we're meeting next month to work on that.
Okay, thank you. Next. Now, we have golf courses in the area. We have Winston Trail, which has beautiful homes. They have open membership for outsiders. And they seem to be working pretty well. They don't have a country club, so what? Those that want to join the Winston Trail golfing community, they can join it. Why did we not consider taking in outside people to play here? Like Winston Trail?
Well, what you're saying is we're not a public golf course. Winston Trail is a public golf course.
Yeah.
We're a country club. And it's not maintained at our level at all. It's tough to compare us to Winston Trails. We are bringing in outside groups. We're bringing in Can-Am. We have Aberdeen, but we still want to keep our standards.
Well, we have to face the facts.
We are facing the facts.
Golf is not what it was years ago. It's not as popular. There are not as many people playing, and we have many people here who can't play anymore.
And that's why you let these outside groups in. And you look at another club that worked that way called Westchester, and where are they going right now?
Okay, now you also mentioned something about non-equity members who have all the rights and privileges of equity members without assessments. I think you said that, didn't you?
Not all the rights, but we're allowing them to join. Basically, what you just said, why don't we let more people into the club? So we came up with a membership for our people who live on the north, which is a non-equity membership, to allow them to join.
Is that only for the North?
Yes. Well, outside members can join that too.
Okay, if outside members can join with those privileges, same privileges that I have, and pay a heck of a lot less,
Same
I would
dues.
like to become a non-equity member.
Same dues. Same dues as you.
That's not what you seem to say before.
No, that's what I said. I said the dues are the same, they just don't pay the assessment.
Oh, well,
You're an
I'd like
owner.
to
You're a
become a
renter.
non-equity member without paying assessment.
They're an owner, you're a renter. And they also pay, the outside members would pay initiation charge.
I'd like to say to Sean, I'm happy to have you aboard, Sean. You mentioned about 14 people being in the dining room the other day or in the pub. If we had not lowered our quality of food, and if we raised prices in order to meet a budget, lowered the quality, nobody came to dinner. So you have a law of diminishing returns when you do that, and that was a big, big mistake. You should not have only 14 people. If there was a worthwhile experience to go to the pub or the dining room, you wouldn't have that kind of attendance.
Mr. Shiner, that was before I was here.
Yes, I'm not blaming you.
So going forward, we made some changes in the pub. We're making changes in staffing, and Butch has done a tremendous job. And the results for the past few weeks that I've seen, it has increased. I'm getting more compliments on the food, the service. Jason's done a great job. Things are going in the right direction.
Well, I hope you continue to go in that direction, because if you do, you're not gonna have 14 people. You'll have a lot more, and I thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just,
Name,
Lois Tennant,
report,
hold
on.
I just have a question about the confidentiality of the voting.
Confidentiality, which voting?
The ballots that were just sent. I see that you enclose your ballot into an envelope that has your information. So when the votes are counted, I'm just curious about how you protect the confidentiality.
I have never been in the voting room. I just know the process because I'm not allowed in the voting room as a board member, just so you know. The reason your name is on the outside envelope is because the secretary and treasurer will, the day the ballots are counted, like at 7 in the morning, they're here, and they go through each ballot to certify that that person is a member in good standing. And then those ballots are handed over to Judge Canetti. Is he in the room? There he is. And I gotta tell you, I know his process is confidential, and I know he splits it up amongst teams, and nobody knows the total vote, and right, Judge? And you have the vote double counted, but it's all confidential, and Judge Canetti and Bobby Feingold handle the vote.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. That worked, Judge, so I don't need any more. Okay, if there are no other questions, I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chris Knowles. I have two places here, one in, I think, Milan 2, the other one's in Versailles. The question I have really is, I hear a lot of talk about the value for the club. We were living in Milan 2. I'm from the Bahamas. I live in the Bahamas. I come in here probably 10 times a year. And when we originally bought in here, it's a beautiful community. The golf courses are gorgeous. This place is beautiful. So we really liked it. The problem is you go back to the value of your club and being an equity member of what you have. I can tell you I probably golfed here 5 times. Most times when I call, there's either an issue with going out early and there's nobody on the course. They want us to play after 12. I'm not a golf member, so maybe that's a part of the rules, I don't know. But you want to make money. I'm just saying there's nobody out that day. It could be the slow season, still don't want us to go out. So some of the things you guys need to consider is if you're bringing in new members, whether it be equity or non-equity, you have to make things work for the people here. I come in 10 times a year, starving. When I come to the club, I sit down, I may get in here late, 8:30, 8 o'clock. If it is open, everybody, the servers are just standing at the table waiting for you to leave. I can tell you, I'm in several businesses in the Bahamas, there's a lot of profit in alcohol, all right? You don't rush people off the bar. They're sitting there drinking martinis, let them have some drinks. If someone's got to stay till 9 o'clock, do what you have to do. The reason we bought into, North Court, was not because we wanted to get out of the membership. We wanted to get value for the membership. So whatever you guys are doing, Sean, it sounds like you're cutting some costs, that's great. All I'm trying to say is just make sure and think about new people coming in and making sure that they get some value for what they're paying for.
Absolutely. So your question about the alcohol and staying open later, the bartenders and Jason, they know if somebody's sitting there, we stay open. We don't close. Now, we don't have food service past that time, but we happy to serve you booze. We got popcorn, we got peanuts.
Well, recently I was at not the bar, I was eating, I had some friends in, and the bartender left. So literally they mixed the drink, before they asked if you have another drink. We look around, the bartender's gone, so the shift was over. I think it was 9 o'clock, fine, but there was 4 of us there spending some money. And at least call up and say, hey, listen, you know, the bar is closing, would you like to order a couple more drinks before we go? That's all I'm saying.
Point taken, and Jason will address it. Thank you.
I just want to make a correction because there's some confusion. Someone handed me, I don't know where it came from, the social equity membership. And I was correct originally. The couples cost is $6,800. The cost for a single is $6,008. Okay? Yes.
I'm Arthur Ross in San Marino Way. I just, for the edification of the membership, a lot of people are confused about what the $13 million can be used for. They don't understand capital improvements and what's not capital. So I think you should make some kind of an explanation.
Well, here again, that's going to be a membership decision, and it's 17 minus 1, 16, that we pay off the loan. But the money can only be used for capital. What is capital? Capital is not operating. Capital is not buying food, paying payroll, things of that nature that we use for day-to-day expenses. Capital is buying new chairs, new furniture for the dining room. Capital is putting in a new tennis court, new lighting for the tennis court. Capital is new grass on the golf course. Capital, things that last more than 5 years, basically. I think it's something of that nature. So it's capital. And if we don't invest it, we have 3 years to invest in capital. If we don't invest in capital, we're taxed at 50%. So we, the members, when we get the money, we'll put together committees. We will all decide what capital improvements we're going to make at the club. So there are no other questions. Sean just told me there are available seating in the pub. What a surprise this evening. Go to the pub,